in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing radical expressions. Okay, the general rules are for multiplication and division. So this is for multiplication, this is for division. If I'm multiplying two radicals of real numbers, a and b, it's the same as multiplying the radical of a times the radical of b. But it has to have the same nth power. For example, square root of 2 times square root of 8 is equal to the square root of 16. Again, it has to be the same root. It cannot be the square root of 2 times the cubic root of 8. That will not work. Again, the cubic root of 3 times the cubic root of 9 is the same as the cubic root of 27. So I just multiplied what's under the root, but n has to be the same. This rule applies if and only if n is the same. So I'm dealing with fourth root, it has to be fourth root. Fifth root, fifth root. So if two roots have the same root, same nth root, you can multiply them together under the radical. Okay, same goes for division. The nth root of a divided by b is the same as the nth root of a divided by the nth root of b. Again, n has to be the same. Example, square root of 27 divided by square root of 3 is equal to the square root of 9. Okay, I just divided 27 divided by 3, all combined under the root. The cubic root of x to the 6 divided by 8 is the same as the cubic root of the x to the 6 divided by the cubic root of 8. Okay. Let's talk about a very important concept that we're going to play with a lot when we're dealing with radicals. It's called rationalize the denominator. Okay, so if we have a fraction of the square root of x divided by the square root of y, look at the denominator, which is the bottom of my fraction. You cannot have a square root under your fraction or at the bottom of your fraction. We need to rationalize it to make it a rational fraction. Well, we learned before that any number divided by itself is equal to a 1. With 2 divided by 2, simply a 1. A million divided by a million is also equal to 1. We also learned that any number times 1 is equal to the number itself. So if I multiply a fraction times 1, I have not changed anything in that fraction. I just did an operation that doesn't change the value. Now, okay, so what can I multiply the bottom of this fraction by to get rid of that square root? Again, another reminder, the square root of y times the square root of y is equal to the square root of y squared. That will equal to y. Okay, we just did that. So, if I multiply that bottom by the square root of y, it will take care of that root for me. But I need to do the same at the top, because the square root of y divided by square root of y is a 1. So, if I multiply this whole fraction by 1, I haven't really changed the value of the fraction. I'm just rewriting things to make them look different. So, you take your denominator, you make a fraction with the denominator on top and the bottom, and you multiply the whole expression by. So, the square root of x times the square root of y. Nth root is the same, nth where n is 2, so square root, so I can combine them under the root. So this is equal to the square root of xy, since n is the same. My bottom, I'm going to also do the same. Because again, we're dealing only with square roots, so we can combine everything under the root. So this is equal to the square root of xy divided by just y. Because y squared under the square root is just y. Okay, because y, this is equal to y squared all to the power half. Half of 2 is just a 1. Now it's your turn. Rationalize the following fraction. Square root of y over the square root of xg. So just create a fraction. And follow the same steps.